Diva Lyri. Yeah. Welcome everybody. We are here for another session. Want to welcome everybody. Welcome my wonderful, wonderful YouTube peoples. Welcome my wonderful, wonderful TikTok peoples. Whoa. I'm messing up my whole rig. I'm messing up the whole rig, Diva. Alright, what's going on, peoples? Yours truly, Diva Lyri. UNA. Alright, we're gonna get into this thing today. We got a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful session. I got something to show you. I got something to show you. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, and yes. All right, so we're going to get into this thing today. We're going to get into it today. I am yours truly, Diva Lyri, with the UNA University. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, peoples. Hello, peoples. I'm yours truly once again, Diva Lyri, with the UNA University and UNARepublic. We've got a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful session tonight. Let's get into it. Yes, yes, yes. UNA. Hello, everybody. All right, so I want to welcome everybody. This is a UNA and a UNARepublic, UNA University session. What are we talking about tonight? Annunaki. We're talking about the Annunaki, the Bible, and the Book of Enki. All right. Annunaki, the Bible, and the Book of Jasher, actually. So what we're going to do tonight, because last night was a great session, and we had a lot of people interested in the Anunnaki story and some of that information going on there. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to get into that a little bit heavy tonight. And we're going to compare the Book of Enki, which is dealing with the Anunnaki, to the Book of Jasher, which is a version of the Old Testament, and the Bible. All right, so we're going to compare those things and tonight in this session. So it's going to be a nice session. I'm excited about it. I haven't done a session like this in a while, so it's time. Base. All right. Oh, Finn sent me a rose too. Who else? Ernest. Welcome, Finn. I appreciate the love. Thank you, my friend. Daddy Long Strokes. Welcome. These TikTok names. All right, so listen, we're getting into this thing tonight. We're going into the Anunnaki. We're going to go into the Book of Jasher, and we're going to talk about the Bible. We're going to compare the three. I want to, before I get started, make sure I remind you guys of, and I'm just moving around, forgive me, I don't normally be moving around like this, but talking about the ebook that is out and available. All right, you can get this in the link. Check the link in the bio for the ebook, or you can go to UNA University for this ebook. Now, what is in the ebook, Diva? What's this ebook thing? Okay, this is a very powerful book. All right. Now, there's the ebook and there's the physical version, which is this version. But what's in the ebook? All right, let's go through it a little bit. All right, you got your table of contents. Yes, table of contents. Now, let me go into this. In this book, you know, there are charts that we go through all the time. The universal law chart, as well as the hierarchy of law chart. They are in here. And we also go into detail about why these hierarchy charts are so important. This is the hierarchy of law chart. This is the universal law chart. This chart here, hierarchy of law, helps you to know where you stand within this system, gives you a hierarchy of what the laws are, all right? And then these universal laws help you to understand the underlying laws, meaning what's really going on in this third dimension and how to maneuver through it. All right. Now, it goes on in here. It talks about contract law. It gives you, again, once again, information about why those charts that we just looked at are so important. It also has the maxims of law in here. All 100. How many maxims of law there are that we have? And all of these maxims of law come from the Bible, which is why this session is so fun for me and so important. This session we're doing today. But yeah, there are 200 and some odd 66, 200, 308, 334, 334 maxims of law. These come straight from the Bible. I tell you, these laws stand higher than man's law. If you know how to work this, this is your Bible. This is that book you stand on when you go into court. This is higher than the Constitution. All right? Because these come from God. So you want to get this book. All right. Going on. It goes on into contract law in here. And again, the importance of contract law. All right. Gives you some samples. And the vibratory frequency chart. Why your vibratory frequency is so important. This is a hot book. In this book, if you get the physical version of this, it's going to come with a laminated copy of the hierarchy of law chart. It's going to come with a laminated copy of the universal laws. It's going to come with a laminated copy of the vibratory frequency chart. All of these charts are in the book. But we want you to put them up. We want you to put them on your window, on your mirrors, on your refrigerator. We don't want you tearing up the book so you can put this up. No, this is why we're giving you these. All right. So the ebook itself is only $14.99. If you want the physical copy, it's going to be $29.99. All right. $29.99. So if you want this, go find the link in the bio. If you don't know how to do that, go to UNARepublic.com and you can get this. All right. Very important. Also, don't forget that we are loading up for the university this season, starting on the 16th. On the 16th of April. All right. So if you want to be enrolled in the university, go to UNARepublic.com and leave a message so that we can enroll you into the seminar, into the season. This is our spring season 2023. We'd love to have you. We've got Back to Basics. We've got History and Self-Mastery, which is a very, very powerful course, one of my favorites. And we've got Business Asset Management, which is our intermediate course. All right, so if you're interested, go to UNA University. Let's get you in the university. I love y'all. Let us get it started. All right, I'm excited about this session. What are we talking about tonight? We're talking about the Anunnaki. We're talking about the Book of Jasher, and we're talking about the Book of Enki. All right, so the first thing I want to go through with you all is what the Bible is. All right. We want to go into recognizing what this book is that is so talked about in our society. What is the Bible? All right, so let's go into when it started. Now, I won't go deep into the history because talking about the Bible is a session all by itself. All right. And you'll hear a lot of people say the Bible stands for basic instructions before leaving earth. And I can't disagree with that. There are instructions in the book. And as I revealed yesterday or last night, I talked about how at some point you couldn't tell me that I needed to read the Bible. And I skirted all around it in my studies because I didn't want to read the book. I was convinced that it was the white man's book, quote unquote, white man's book. And it was just a bunch of garbage and fables and fictitious stuff. Now, as I spoke about yesterday, once I did read it, because everything that I was studying led me back to the Bible. Now, if you're hearing people tell you, oh, it's the white man's book, again, I had to be reintroduced to the book because the Bible is about melanated people. All of those people in there, Adam and Eve and all of this, they made us believe that they were light-skinned people. That's not the case. At least not from when you're reading and doing your own research. These were dark-skinned people. So, with that being said, I want to welcome my people in YouTube. Welcome, DJ. Thank you for joining. What happens is, again, as I did my research, it started to become clear that I had to read this book. All right. When you read the book, some of the lies that were exposed when I gained my own knowledge was that this was not the Albion man's book. There are two books in particular that I point out that make it clear that it can't be their book. When you read the Book of Revelations, the Book of Revelations is basically saying that Albions are going to burn in a lake of fire. That they're going to be heated up so hot. And I need to make this clear to my light-skinned friends, my Albions. I have no disdain for my Albion people at all. All right? I'm just telling you what the facts are. All I speak here are facts. Now, if there's something I'm speaking that is not factual, please let me know and let's have a conversation about it. Please make sure you're not in here knee-jerking because you got emotional about something I said. I'm speaking facts. Now, if you, in your own research, find something that's different to what I'm saying, please bring it up so that we can have a discussion about it, an intelligent, informed discussion. I want to say thank you all for liking and sharing in TikTok. Thank you for following in TikTok. Thank you for sharing in YouTube and liking and joining and subscribing and all that good stuff. Now, that being said, when it comes to that book, Book of Revelations, it's saying Albion's going to burn up. Now, if it were me who wrote this book and I was Albion, I would have ripped that book out and hid it under in the deepest depths of the abyss. You would never even know that book existed if I was the one who even put the book together. I wouldn't have written it. Nor would I have put it in a book that's going to live throughout eternity, speaking about who I am as a being and saying that I'm going to burn up in a lake of fire. That would never happen. The Book of Numbers is the second book that I bring into evidence. When you read the Book of Numbers, you clearly see that in the Book of Numbers, it's saying that white skin is a curse. Diva Lyri didn't make this up. It's in the book. Why is your preacher not telling you this? Why is it that all these other people, these Albions or whatever that speak on this are not speaking on this? Go to Book of Numbers. Diva Lyri is not making it up. It says that white skin is a curse. Let me say this again and reiterate. I love my Albion peoples. I'm just giving the facts that this book could not have been written by Albions, because if it were, that would be another book that I would rip out and burn up and bury into the depths of the abyss. All right. So let's make it clear that this is not a book that was written by the white man. And let's understand that when it comes to religion, all religions, all your major religions, Buddhism, Muslims, Judaism, Christianity, your major religions were all written by melanated people. They were created by melanated people, specifically the male, the melanated male. So let's talk about the Bible and what it actually is. The Bible comes about in 235 AD, if I'm not mistaken. 235 AD. That is new. That's like, you know, when we're talking about BC, before Christ, AD is after Christ, or Anno Domini. And then we're talking about, this is a new, fairly new book. The scriptures, however, were around long before the Bible came into play. Now, I'm not going into where the scriptures come from, because as I've spoken about before, it's the melanated woman, the female, the sibyls and the oracles that created those scriptures. The female and the male came in and took those scriptures and reworded them to suit him, because there was a time when the woman ruled everything. Now, I know y'all don't like that. I need to do a separate session specifically going into the history of the woman, because we as women are so clueless about our power. I mean, we are clueless. We have all the power, all of the power, and the male came in and took over the female. I won't go into that today, because I want to get into this Anunnaki, because I don't want y'all being upset in the comment section. Y'all can be upset, it's okay. I just want you to do your own research, okay? But let me just go into this, and we'll get into that women in history at another time. The male comes in and takes over the female, and so now she is beholden to him. She becomes his slave. She becomes his slave. Because she did some dirt too. Once again, I only speak the facts, because none of this, when we talk about history, it doesn't look good for anybody. Not melanated people, not Albions, not women, not men, not nobody. Everybody did some dirt. Everybody. And the woman did her own fair share of dirt, which is why she ends up in the position she is in today as subservient, because of the dirt she did to the male. Now, I won't go into that. Let me get back into what the Bible is. Now, again, I say to you, this Bible comes about by, the male didn't write it. What he did was took her stories and put them into what we call a canonized version, which is what we know of as the Bible. Now, let's understand this. These sibyls and oracles, when they were writing, they had knowledge of how this universe works, which are the universal laws that are throughout the Old and the New Testament. The universal laws. The women, the sibyls and writing this, they knew about that. These are the ones who were writing prophecies. That's why you find all your prophecies in the Old Testament, not the New Testament. I'm not going into that today. But it was the female, the women, who were writing these prophecies, and they ended up in this book. When the male took over her scriptures, what he couldn't do is take away the basis of what this dimension is made up of. He couldn't take that away, otherwise he'd lose the power. Now, what had to be done with the woman is she had to become subservient. She had to forget who she is so that she can be enslaved. It's the same way with all of us. I mean, really, all of this stuff is on layers. Just like we're gods, as we talked about yesterday, we're gods. We have fallen. We're fallen because we have forgotten who we are. Well, that's what happened with the woman. When she forgot who she was, she lost her power. All right. So, getting into the Bible, when the male took over those scriptures and put them in a canonized version, people want to say, oh, the Bible is the perfect word of God. Let me make this clear. It is not the perfect word of God. And I'm going to give you 2 instances of why you know this. So before you knee-jerk, pay attention and go and do your research. The Bible is not a perfect word of God. Number 1, when you look through your Bible, look to see that little circle with a C inside of it. That means copyrighted. Now, let us be clear. You cannot copyright the word of God, because the word of God belongs to everybody. You cannot copyright God's word. So who is it that's got this book and they've sold it to you, and they put that little C with that circle around it, and they say it's copyrighted? Who got the right to copyright God's word? Nobody. But then if they change the words, if they put their own version of it, if they flip the words around, which is exactly what's been done with the Bible. Things have been redacted. Characters in the Bible have been changed. Even when you look at the words God and Lord, that the original scriptures had the names of those gods. Those gods had names. And by the way, there were many gods. That's what Elohim means. Elohim, El means God, Ohim means many. There were many gods, and the vast majority of them were feminine. The names in those books were feminine. But somebody took those names out, they changed the stories around, they flipped the script, and now it becomes their word so they can copyright it. It's no longer God's word. Oh, it was inspired by God. Okay. But it's not the perfect word of God. So, if we're recognizing what this Bible is, it has, though, power. Yeah, there are lies in it. There are lies in it. And not only that, there are a lot of the characters have been changed. The sex of the characters have been changed. Go and look at the Solomon story. All right? Go and look at Solomon's story. And he's telling you who led the Israelites out of Egypt. Solomon is telling you that there was a female god that led the Israelites out of Egypt. That's what Solomon said. But you read the Bible, they tell you Moses did it. Why didn't they put Solomon's story in the Bible? Because Solomon's saying a totally different thing. They're telling you Moses is a male. But Solomon said, no, there was a female that led them out of Egypt. All right. So I'm just giving you some of this information so that you can go and look it up for yourself. All right, you go and study for yourself, and then you can determine, what this information is that we have. But you got to read it for yourself. You can't just listen to somebody else and listen to this one and I feel that would resonate with me. I feel it, but you didn't do no research. All right. Don't knee jerk over here. Just go do some research and then let's have an intelligent conversation, because I'm not here to convince you or make you believe anything. I'm here to give you the facts, and then you can create your own truth, however you want to do it. Now, so we're understanding where those scriptures come from. The scriptures have been around long before the Bible. Who wrote those scriptures? That was the woman who did that. Sibyls and oracles. Look that up. That's where your prophecies come from. Now, with all of that being said, as I spoke about, I did not have any respect whatsoever for the Bible. Come even 15 years ago, no respect. Until I started doing my own research. And again, the more I got into research, it all led me back to the Bible. Now, again, there's lies in the Bible, but there's also a lot of truth in the Bible. There's also a lot of power in the Bible. And especially when you're talking about law, that's why I tell you all, I'm not telling you what to believe in. But the last thing you want to do is go into a court and be talking about you're an atheist, or you don't believe in this, or you don't believe in that. Listen up. These laws in this book, when we're talking about the universal laws, the hierarchy of laws, and the maxims of law, they're something powerful. When you say things like that, you don't believe in God, and they telling you, do you swear to tell the truth? Oh, I don't believe in God. Okay, you just threw away all your power. The problem is we don't understand what kind of power this is when they're telling you to swear on this, because the same thing they're telling you to swear on, they have to swear on. Well, guess what? You can enter your own Bible. We always do. Anytime we have a court, we're stating what our Bible is. You can state your own laws, and that's what we do. And we stand on the maxims of law in this book, all 338 of them. All right, and you got to learn how to do that. That's why the Bible is so important, especially in law. A lot of you all think, still think the Bible is, whatever. I get it. Yes, it has been used to keep you down. But then when you learn what it is, that same thing will uplift you and help you to walk like the God that you are. All right? So this is why this ebook is important, that you can go check the link in the bio. You'll find it there, or you can go to UNARepublic.com, UNARepublic.com, and you can get this book. Also, while you're there, enroll so we can get you in the university and help you understand this law. All right, so now we're understanding what the Bible is. When people say, oh, it's allegorical, yeah. It's also historically accurate. Now, not to, again, remember that somebody came in here and switched around the stories, but there is historical accuracy in this book. Now, and I'm going to get into that, but it's historically accurate. It's a dietary law book. It's a foreign policy book. It's a math book, an astrology book. All right. It's all kind of stuff. You name it. It's a law book. So I'm saying to you that when we're talking about the Bible, understand its power from a legal perspective. Understand its power from a historical perspective. But also understand that somebody has gone into the Bible and switched around the scriptures. You want to be able to understand or tell the difference between truth and fact. For example, that whole Adam and Eve rib story. Again, somebody switched around the stories. And we're going to get into these other two books that I want to talk about, because I want to compare these three books. But somebody switched the story. There is no way for a woman to come from anything of a man. And see, even when you're talking about the sperm is a feminine entity. I'm going to say this again. The sperm is a feminine entity. See, this is when I got to get into molecular structure of who we are as beings. People are clueless about who we are as beings. I'm not going into that tonight, but let me make it clear that the sperm of a male is a feminine entity. So let me put it like this to make it clear and 100% clear. There is no such thing as a male sperm. I'm going to say it again. Because, see, somebody's not getting this because of all these lies we've been told. No, the slow sperm are the males and the fast sperms are the females. There is no such thing as a male sperm. They are all feminine, every last one of them. Otherwise, a male sperm can't even produce. And I go into molecular structure and show you exactly why a male sperm cannot produce. But we're not getting into that today. My point here is for you to understand that there are a lot of lies in the Bible, but you've got to be able to study to understand what is what. And we're going to go through some things today. So I want to get into this now. Let's start comparing some things and understanding what's really going on with the Bible. This is a fun part for me, though. Okay, I don't want to be having to prove stuff to you, but this is the fun part to me, because it's the stories in the Bible. And if you haven't had a chance to just read through the whole Bible, take some time to read it. It's a good book to read. But the Book of Jasher was my favorite. All right, the Book of Jasher is a less tampered with version of the Bible. The Book of Jasher is going to go into a little bit more detail of the Old Testament. So it's more, the Book of Jasher kind of deals with the Old Testament, and it's less tampered with. So when you start talking about the books of the Bible, it's going to tell you how things went, and it's not tampered with. It's not like what you're seeing in the Bible. It tells you, for example, what happened in what really went down in Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, so all we hear in the Bible is, oh yeah, they try to make the guys out to be gay. I mean, they make it out to seem like they were gay, or it was just, but it was more than just they were it wasn't about just them being gay. They were disrespectful. They were to the point where, you know, they were rapists. You know, they weren't. So let me just go into that real quick, because what we just hear about in the Bible is, oh, and everybody wants to make it seem like, oh, they was gay, and so that's why God said we need to shut down Sodom and Gomorrah, whatever. No. You go and read Book of Jasher, and it goes into detail about what was really going on in Sodom and Gomorrah, whereby it talks about a story about where they would not allow the people to feed the homeless. Like they made it a law that if you fed the homeless, you get fined. And that's kind of, I'm going to go into it. There's a law like that in Atlanta right now, where they will try to fine you if you feed someone who is homeless. Hold on for a second. I got a comment from my friend. DJ says biblical chronology denies vigesimal mathematics. Vigesimal. Tell me what vigesimal mathematics is, DJ, so I can look it up. Where do bad folks go when they die? They don't go to heaven with the angels fly. They go to wood lake of fire and fry. See them again till for you lie. All right. Thank you for that poem, DJ. Poetic. All right. So going back into this, getting back into the Bible and Sodom and Gomorrah. All right. So basically what happened is they got this law in Sodom and Gomorrah where if you feed the homeless, you know, you're going to get fined. It was all kind of other things that were going on there where they were just very disrespectful. When they talk about the angels that came into Sodom and Gomorrah, it was they were depicted as being very gorgeous they looked like gorgeous males. All right, they looked like they were very handsome and gorgeous males, and there were males in the town who wanted to get with them. And so it was a situation where I think it was Lot, and he was like, he knew they were angels, and they had told him, the angels had told Lot that we're going to have to, we came here to destroy this town. And so Lot says to them, please don't destroy the town. Can you save some of the people? Whatever. He's trying to negotiate. But what ended up happening is the males, some of the males in the town really wanted to get with these angels. And Lot was like, no, take my daughters instead. They was like, nah, we want them. And so the Bible makes it out to be that they were, you know, everything was just gay and they was just homosexual and all this. Here's what happened. Lot says, take my daughters. And the people's like, nope, we don't want your daughters. We want them. And what ended up happening is they were trying to break the door down to get to these males. This didn't have nothing to do with just being homosexual. This had to do with they wanted to rape these guys. That's not, I mean, just because somebody's homosexual doesn't make them rapists. There's a difference there. There was a whole deeper level of sinisterism going on in this town that we know of as Sodom and Gomorrah. It was way more than that. And when you read the book of Jasher, it goes deeper into what was really going on. So I really like that book of Jasher. There's so much in the book. If you get a chance, read that too. You can download it. Go and look up the book of Jasher. Jasher. All right. Listen, I want to compare because I want to go into the book of Enki. Now, I talked about the difference between these three books yesterday. So when you look at it, the book of Enki is like somebody telling the story from the standpoint either they were a god or they were real close to the gods. All right, the book of Enki is like, okay, they so close to the gods that they got the inside story. That's what that book of Enki reads like. The book of Jasher reads like someone who was on the outside but saw the gods working, saw what they did. They kind of, they weren't far removed from seeing the workings of the gods. And then the book of the Bible is just like really just somebody who heard some stories. And they telling, fantastical stories. That's what the Bible reads like. Not that it's, not talking about, it's just like fairy tales, but it's just like somebody who really wasn't there. Because here's the thing. When you read the book of Enki, you understand that these gods were different individual people or different individual beings. You get that when you read it. The book of Jasher, the book of Enki rather. You get that these gods, you get the stories. You got the inside stories of who was who was, what happened with Adam and Eve, and why they had to go through this whole stuff with the ribs and what really happened. That's what the book of Enki is telling you. Like, you inside you got the details about what happened. When you're looking at the book of Jasher, okay, the book of Jasher is, you can tell that these gods actually walked the planet with these people. And then at some point they left. This is what you get from the book of Jasher. When you read the book of Jasher, you're like, wait a minute. Because see, I read the book of Jasher before I read the book of Enki. I didn't know about the book of Enki. But when I was reading the book of Jasher, I was like, wait a minute. This book is reading like those gods actually walked the planet with them. That's what the book of Jasher reads like. Like, though there were some guys that were on the planet, and now they're no longer on the planet anymore for whatever reason. And there's stories in there that kind of help you to understand that. And it reads like there was more than one God. And some of the names, I don't know if it has some of the names of the gods, but it makes it clear that there were several different gods. It wasn't just one. Whereas the Bible is reading like there's just one God. And then this is why y'all are like, well, why is this God schizophrenic? He hates you one minute, then hates you next minute. Because there was more than one God. There was many gods. All right. So this is why it's important to read these different books and understand where the Bible comes from. Again, there's laws in there that the book should be respected for many reasons. If it was not just for the legal reason and the fact that you can use it because it's so powerful, such a powerful tool, it can get you out of all kind of stuff, but because of the fact that it does have those universal laws in it. That's very important. America needs Jesus. All right, Bob. Now, let's get into this. One of the things I want to get you all, since I'm here, because I had somebody, I had a couple of people who told me they liked that information about the Anunnaki, and so I'm going to tell you some things that some of my favorite stories to talk about, and I'm going to let you guys choose. Now, I talked about Adam and Eve. If y'all want me to go through the rib story, I go through that and compare that rib story with what we get in the book of Enki versus the Bible. The comparison of the Noah's Ark, understanding the relationship and why the gods wanted to save Noah so bad. Why was this relationship? What was it about Noah that had such this love affair with? I want to save Noah. I can go through that story. The animals on the ark, if you want to talk about that, I can tell you about that. So we talked about why the gods in the Bible seem so schizophrenic. And we could talk about the happenings on planet Nibiru, which are very similar to what's happening on this planet right now. So y'all choose between those. Once again, Noah's Ark and Noah's the animals on the ark. We can talk about that. The relationship between God and Noah and why they were so in love with him and wanted to save him. Adam and Eve rib story. I already talked about that. Why the gods of the Bible were so schizophrenic. Talk about the seems that God of the Bible seems so schizophrenic, and the happenings on the planet of Nibiru, which are similar to this. Now, I want y'all to put your decision in the comments, and then I'll go with whatever you guys are saying. We'll talk about that. But I do want to go into this. I want to make sure you all remember you can get this ebook. All right. You can go and find the link in the bio, or you can go to UNA University. UNAUniversity.com. All right. And you're going to be able to find this ebook. Now, there's an ebook version and there's a physical version. What's in the ebook? Y'all better put your decisions up now. Let me know what y'all want me to talk about concerning comparing these books. The Book of Jasher, Book of Enki, and the Bible. All right. Now, you've got the universal laws, and the hierarchy of laws are in here. All right. The maxims of law are in here. Why those are so important. All right, that information is in here. We also go into contract writing and what it is about, why it's so important to know how to write contracts, all right? And the vibratory frequency, why it is so important and where you need to be, all right? So with the ebook, $14.99. All right. The physical version is for now $29.99. And with this physical version, you're going to get a laminated copy of the hierarchy of laws. You're going to get a laminated copy of the universal laws. You're going to get a laminated copy of the vibratory frequency chart. Okay. This is a powerful book. These are the laws that I use when I create my own court. These laws are higher than man's laws. These laws are higher than the Constitution. You need to learn how to use them. All right. Now, getting into this, which one are we going into? The rib. Oh, y'all like the rib story? Or you just want some ribs? That's what you just want, some ribs. Let me see. Bob says America needs fixing. Bob, let me tell you something before I get into this, and I'm not going to go heavy into it. You need fixing. Each of us needs fixing. When you fix yourself, it's going to be amazing how America comes into order. You need to fix you. Each of us needs to fix ourselves. And as soon as you fix yourself, watch America step up to the plate. Watch. Don't keep blaming everything else. Don't keep trying to, we need this. You need to fix you. And watch what happens as soon as you fix you. All right? Let me get into this rib story. That's all y'all want to hear about the rib? All right. We go into the rib story. If you want to hear another one, let me know. Rib story. Let me tell you what. No, I want the story about the rib first. Okay. And what's the other one you want? What's the second one? All right. So let's understand what happened with why the humans were created in the first place. So that we got to start there. You got these Anunnaki coming from this planet known as Nibiru. All right. Nibiru supposedly has a different orbit than what planet Earth has. It has a different orbit to the sun, according to what the scriptures and the other stories say, than planet Earth. Now, when these Anunnaki came to this planet called planet Earth, I want to thank y'all for joining. Thank you for liking. My people in YouTube, thank you for sharing and subscribing. Thank you. Y'all go, by the way, and subscribe on YouTube, please. Help us out on YouTube. All right, so now, when these Anunnaki came to this planet, and I won't go, that whole story right there is fun to talk about too, but I won't go into that. But when they came to planet Earth, planet Earth had an atmosphere that was hotter because it's closer to the sun than what their planet is. And when they got here, they came with, I don't know, I wouldn't call them slaves, but they were subservient people. So they called them the Igigi, I-G-I-G. I-G-I-G-I, Igigi. So they come with this group of beings called the Igigi. And the Igigi were doing most of the work, but none of them could take the atmosphere on the planet. And so when they had to, let me talk about the purpose they came here for. They came here for the gold. According to the scriptures, according to the Book of Enki, according to the Book of Jasher, they came here for the gold. And they knew that the planet was rich with gold. And they needed it to save their own planet. I won't go into that right now. However, when they got here, it was too hot. They could not take the temperature. And so they were putting these Igigi to work, and the Igigi started to revolt. They was like, we ain't gonna do all this heavy work. We tired. It's hot. We can't take it here. We can't do it. We're not gonna do it. They ended up kidnapping, I think they kidnapped Enlil. They kidnapped somebody, and they was like, we're not gonna do this work anymore. And so at this time there was Enki. Let me tell you about the three main characters. Well, there are four. So there's Enlil, who is the younger brother. All right. There's Enki, who's the older brother. Now Enlil was the one in charge. Enki was the one who did all of the scientific work. He'd like to genetically splice things and put stuff together over here and take this one over here and put it with that one and put this one over here and put another one. That's what Enki did. Enki, the older brother, is the one he's the mastermind. All right. And so then you have Ninma, which is the sister. Now, the sister was very good. She knew molecular structure. All right. She can bring things back to life. All right, that's how good she was with molecular structure and, creating things like that. Then you had Anu. Anu is the father. Anu stayed on Nibiru. Okay, so now you've got what is his name? Enlil, and you got Enki. Now, Enlil was the one in charge, telling them to do all the Igigi to do all the work. Enki was like, look, I got this idea. All right, look, I saw this animal that when we came to the planet, and I think I can make a being that can do the work, okay? Because I know how to make the hands look like this, and then it can hold the tools, and then it's gonna be intelligent enough so that we can tell it what to do, and then it can do the work. I can do this. Let me so I can put this together. And Enlil was like, no, we can't do that. That's against the law. You can't create a slave. And Enki was like, no, it's not going to be a slave. It's just going to be, listen, we're just going to put a little bit of our DNA in it. And then we're going to mix it with one of these beings on the planet. And then we're going to be able to teach it how to hold the tools. Because we got these tools. And then it's got to have the thumb. And it's got to have some fingers. So that's all we're going to do. Enlil was like, no. That's against the universal laws. You can't create a slave. And so they're going back and forth like, man, we need the gold. And the Igigi is not going to do the work anymore. So what we going to do? I'm telling you, I can create a being and that can do the job. All right? Because we got to get the gold so we can save our planet. And so they're going back and forth. And then they say, okay, well, let's talk. Let's talk to Daddy. And let's call Dad and see what Dad want to do. So they talked to Anu, and they said, Anu, Dad, Enki got this idea about creating a slave, and I'm telling you, it's not a good idea. We should not be creating a slave. And Enki was like, no, Dad, listen, I'm telling you, I can do it. And then because we don't have no more workers, they won't work for us. And so if they won't work, then what we gonna do? Then the planet die. Everybody on the planet dies. So what we gonna do? So Anu said, okay. Go ahead and create the being. And this is when they started working on creating a human. All right. Now, first of all, it was these two guys. It was really Enki. It was Enki and his son. His son is Ningujita. Some of y'all know of him as Thoth. Now, that's what his name was. So Thoth and Enki were working on this, whereas Enlil was the one who was just, running whatever the operation was. So what happens is Enki is creating these beings. What they're doing is they're taking a seed or a sperm and putting it into another being, or whatever this being was. I don't know what the being was, but I'm coming to find that it was, I'm thinking an ape-like character. That's why I'm thinking an ape-like character, but I'm not totally sure, because in my research I'm finding that apes are hybrid beings as well. Really, I don't know a being that's not hybrid. I really don't. I mean, if it's talking about a male or female and they got to get together to sex each other and create, that's a hybrid being. So, but the bottom line is really all being, and yes, humans are hybrid. As I told y'all, the animals were here before the humans were. So at any rate, when they're putting all of these animals, these beings, they're trying to splice these beings together, and it's not working. They're not creating. Some of them, they wanted it to have smooth skin. They wanted to have fingers so that they can handle the objects. They wanted it to be intelligent, but some of these beings, they were furry. They didn't look the way they wanted them to look. Some of them were born where the heart was outside of the body, like they were inside out. Their bowels, they couldn't hold. It was all kind of physical issues that went on with these beings that they were creating. And then they finally brought in the sister. By the way, you all can look this up on, just look up the Book of Enki. All right, and then read these stories. But they brought the sister in because Enki realized, I need a woman's touch. I need a woman to be a part of this because we're not getting this right. So when they brought her in, she realized, okay, first of all, we need to have a being that's made up of every element of the planet, because we got to have a being that can withstand this sun. And that's the problem. We can't take this sun. The Igigi can't take this sun. We're not from here. We need something that's from here, made up of the planet. So they created a concoction of the elements of the planet. And then they put that element. This is when the sister came in, Ninma. They put that, she said, okay, we need to take that and put it in a female of the being from the planet. So they did that, but they didn't get, it was close, but it wasn't exactly what they wanted. And then I realized, she was like, you know what, okay, this is what we got to do. We're going to have to put this in an Anunnaki, because we can't keep putting it into one of these beings. It needs to be from an Anunnaki. Now, I need y'all to understand, Enlil, the younger brother, was fighting this the whole time. He was like, no, this ain't right. Look, you're putting too much of our DNA in this thing. You're putting it too much. No. Enki was like, look, we don't have a choice. All right, we need to go. The planet is dying. All the people on the planet is dying. We came here to get the gold. We can't get the gold if we don't have nobody to buy the gold. We need this thing to go. So this is when Enki said, look, okay, we need to put it in the Anunnaki. But who gonna put this thing in their body? What female Anunnaki are you gonna get to carry this thing for however much time you need to carry this? Who? And then I said, I'll do it. It's my idea. It's my thought. I'm gonna do it. I'll carry it. And so then Enki and his son, Ningujita, y'all know as Thoth, went to work and implanted her. Like I said, they took this element dropped a seed or a sperm from the Igigi in it, and then they put it in her, and she carried it. And then that was when the first was born, and they call it Adapa. All right, Adapa. And so when that was successful, because it was born with the, and when they described this being as being born a dark red, but you got to understand that this was a translation from the Sumerian tablets. What is dark red? What is dark red? Red with a bunch of black in it? That's brown. All right. So they're describing this being and what it looked like. It was a dark being, and it had to be able to take the sun. All right. So when thank you, Shay. Shay was saying maroon. Okay. It's a brown. It was brown. And so when they were when they were like the color of clay. So when they were they had the first one, they called upon another Anunnaki to have the female, because really they really only want, this is what happened, they called on seven more to have 7 more males, because they really only wanted males because they only wanted them to be slaves. But they found out they needed more and more beings, and so they was like, look, we cannot keep giving the burden of having all these humans to our Anunnaki women. We need to create some females. We need to create females, humans, female humans, so that our Anunnaki women don't get burdened with creating slaves. All right. Are y'all getting what I'm saying? I want y'all to know, once again, Enlil was totally against this. He's like, can't create slaves. It's against the universal law. So here they are. They create another 7 males along, and then 7 females as well. Now, the main 2, the original 2, they put them in what's known as the Garden of Eden. Basically, this was a place where they could look over them and watch them as they, it's kind of like you got, you know how you have an aquarium and you got a whole bunch of ants in it? That's what it's like. We put them in here so we can see what they're doing. And so what they found was, first of all, they were happy about the being because they found the first one, Adam, because they found that, okay, he had the hands, he had the skin, he had the look, he was made up of the planet, and he was intelligent enough to understand instructions. That was the one thing they wanted. Can he understand instructions and follow what we're saying? So as they had them in the garden, they kept the first 2, Adam and then the first female, in the garden, and then the other ones they had them out working. All right, so there was Adam and Eve that was in the garden, but the other ones they had them working, doing a lot of work. Now, what they did when they were watching Adam and Eve is that they found that Adam and Eve were sexing each other. They were constantly sexing each other, but Eve would never get pregnant. All right, stay tuned, pay attention. I'm going to get to the good part. Eve would never get pregnant. And they kept watching, and they were like, Enki and Ninmah and his Enki's son, Ninugida, they were like, well, I see them having sex, but she won't get pregnant. Why won't she get pregnant? Wonder what's going on with that. Well, here's the deal. When you have hybrid beings, they are not meant to procreate. See, I'm going to go into this right now because all of this that I read in the book of Enki, where some people try to say, oh, well, I don't know if it's real, somebody made it, it's a made-up story. All this is in alignment. All of this is in alignment with science. All of this that I'm about to say is in alignment with science. Science says that hybrid things do not procreate unless you go in and tamper with the DNA. And I'm letting you know that the human vessel is hybrid. Everything is hybrid, really. It's hard to, I can't even think of a thing that's non-hybrid. Cats, dogs, lions, tigers, bears, zebras, horses, hybrid. Birds, hybrid. Birds are probably less hybrid. When you talk about birds, you go on less hybrid. But bats, hybrid. Mammals, hybrid. Okay. So a hybrid being cannot procreate unless you tamper with the DNA. And so what happened is when Ningujita, he's the one, the father, which is Enki, he was very knowledgeable about this stuff, but he had taught his son, and his son had become way more knowledgeable than even his father. So Ningujita was like, okay, Dad, I know what need to be done. All right, this is what I'm going to do. So I need you and Ninma and Adam and Eve. I need to put y'all on the table. Everybody need to go to sleep. And I'm going to fix this. Because he knew how to go into the DNA and manipulate certain things. And so what he did, remember, he had to put everybody to sleep. Adam and Eve, and Enki, and Ninma. So he put them to sleep, and he went in to the rib of Ninma and took out DNA and put it into the rib of Eve. And he went into Enki and took out the rib of Enki and put it to, not the rib, but DNA from the rib of Enki, and put it into Adam. There's DNA when you start like bone marrow type stuff. There's DNA in the ribs that was taken out of Adam or Enki and Ninma and put into Adam and Eve. All right. So it was male to male, female to female. All right. So that they can now procreate. This is when they gained a higher knowledge of self, because when Ningujita or Thoth took that DNA from them and put it into Ninma, they gained a higher knowledge of self when that happened. And this is when they put them back into the Garden of Eden. Remember that whole story about now they were hiding themselves when quote unquote when God came in and they were hiding themselves. It was Enlil that came in and they were hiding from him. It wasn't that necessarily that they were hiding from him, but they wanted to put on clothes now. Now they became aware of their nakedness. Now, you can imagine this. Imagine you walk in your house and your dog start doing this, like, you walk in the house and you're like, what's wrong with this dog? What's wrong with this dog? Why is this dog hiding his nakedness? He been naked. Now all of a sudden he want to hide that he's naked. What's going on? Okay. That was the DNA that they placed in them. Now remember, I told you, Enlil did not want this. Enlil did not want them to be, first of all, he didn't want them to be in existence in the first place. But he also didn't want their DNA in them as well. So now when Enlil walks through the garden and he sees Adam and Eve hiding themselves, because previously they was like pets. They was naked and wasn't no big deal. Now all of a sudden they all, I'm aware of my nakedness. Who? What's going on with this? They too intelligent now. So Enlil asked Enki, he's like, Enki, why they hiding themselves? Why is Adam and Eve? Remember, these are two gods. See, this is what the Bible doesn't talk about, the fact that there are two gods. There's more than one, really. There's a whole bunch of them. It's more than, way more than 3, 4, 5. It's a whole bunch of gods. But Enlil is asking asking Enki what is going on with Adam and Eve. And Enki was like, okay, so what had happened was, see, they was in the garden and they was having sex, but they wasn't producing nothing. So what I had to do is, I just had to put a little bit more DNA in. You what? You put more DNA in them? What you want? You want them to have our longevity of life? You want them to be as intelligent as us? You want them to take us over? What you doing, Enki? I told you this wasn't a good idea in the first place. And now here you go, you put all of our DNA, and what you want them to be equal to us? They supposed to be the slave. They're not gonna be the slave no more. We gonna be the slaves. Look, trust me, man. Trust me, bro. Listen, it's gonna be all right. I put the DNA in them. Now they're going to reproduce. And now we're going to have more slaves. We're going to get the gold. We're going to save the planet. It's going to be great. Trust me. All right. So now you're understanding what's going on. Because when you see the schizophrenic, it's two different gods. Because now Enlil is really aggravated. Trust you. You told me you were going to put a little bit of DNA. Then you had to put a little bit more DNA. And then next thing you know, you giving them your whole rib. What you doing? You making them equal to us. I'm telling you what, Adam and Eve, get out. Since you know who you are and you got put some clothes on and get out of here and go to work. Get out of my garden. Get out. Yeah. That's what happened. Enlil got upset because Adam and Eve had become too knowledgeable. They had become, they're almost becoming equal. And so when you read these stories about, a God saying, I don't want you to, I don't want you to be equal to us. You don't need to have our longevity of life. You don't need to have our knowledge. The gods didn't want them to have all of this, because how can I have you as a slave when you have knowledge? Y'all understanding what I'm saying? This is the same thing I've been saying here with the Bible. If you don't have knowledge of your power, just like with the woman, if she doesn't have knowledge of who she is and her power, then she's a slave. But once she becomes knowledgeable about who she is, once a slave becomes knowledgeable about who they are, once you as a God becomes knowledgeable about who you are, you can no longer be a slave. Well, it was the same thing then. When you read the scriptures in the book of Enki, even when you read the scriptures in the Book of Jasher, you start to understand that there were two gods that were battling each other, and everybody wants to champion Enki as the good god and Enlil as the bad god. I understand both sides, because Enlil the whole time was saying this is not a good idea. And Enlil was saying, no, we need this slave to go. He's like, we can't create slaves. Yeah, you can create slaves, but they're not really slaves. They're just going to be, yeah. Well, something happened to the point where Enlil turned out to be right. And I'll talk about that. Y'all let me know. Where can you find the story? You can just do for the Book of Enki, Enki, you can just do a search on Google. You can also search YouTube and find it. Aisha says, makes sense, just needed confirmation. Confirmation on what? And what makes sense? All right. Jamie says, makes sense. Okay, glad it makes sense. I want y'all to read it too. I love telling the story, but I want you all to take some time to read it too. Now, what else did y'all want to hear? Is that the only one y'all wanted to hear? Was there another one you all wanted to hear? What was the other one though? So that's the rib story. And so, as I was telling you all, the Bible has taken these stories and switched them around. And you got to understand, once again, there were many gods, and the vast majority of them were feminine, and a lot of them procreated on their own. All right. Let me get into this one because somebody asked this question as well. What was the question that they asked? They asked me about the flood. All right. It said the question was, who was responsible for the flood? And then who was responsible for the Bible being written, or the book of Enki being written. All right. So now, when we're talking about the flood, all right, that takes us into Noah, and I want to go into that story. I'm gonna go into that story, and then I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna hit it and quit it. All right. Let me go into this story about Noah. So here we got Noah. Because there had been a question, so don't let me forget. I'm telling you all about the flood and why the flood came about. Because this is where I talk about how, what was going on. Where I say, everybody wants to champion Enki and then make Enlil out to be the bad guy, but I can really understand both sides. Before I go into that, I want y'all to remember the ebook. All right, you can get this ebook on UNARepublic.com. UNARepublic.com. All right, this got a lot of powerful laws in it. It's got the universal law, the hierarchy of law, the laws of maxim, the vibratory frequency. It's a powerful, just this book by itself. This is what I stand on. I go into court, this is it. I'm taking all these laws in there with me. All right, and I'm standing on them, and they are so powerful. They're more powerful than man's law, the seatbelt, quote unquote, law, the speeding, quote unquote, law, the cell phone. There's not even laws. This is higher than that. This is higher than the Constitution. This right here is very powerful. This is higher than federal law. All right, in this physical version, you're going to get a copy of the hierarchy of law chart. You're going to get a copy of the universal law chart, and you're going to get a laminated copy of the vibratory frequency chart. All right. Go to UNARepublic.com. You can find this also. The link is also in the bio. Find it, and let's do this now. Going into, I like telling this story. It's fun. Noah. Y'all know Noah was light-skinned. And somebody asked me about what the gods looked like. Now, I'm letting you know that there are several stories that depict them as being light-skinned beings. What they looked like beyond that, I can't tell you, because I think they had different characteristics and different traits. But they are depicted as being a light-skinned being. Now, why is that coming up? Noah was said to be light-skinned. Now, let's talk about what went down between. Let's talk about why Noah is light-skinned. All right, and this is going to take us into that other story about some things that happened. Now, when Noah was born, Noah's father was upset. He was like, You know, when Noah's born and the mother hands Noah to his father, he's like, woman, this ain't my child. Okay, I'm just looking at my live stream. Stop. He says, woman. Let me put up here. Woman, this ain't my child. And she says, wait a minute. He says, have you been this baby look like one of the gods. This doesn't look like me. I mean, look at this. This looks like you've been sleeping with one of the gods. Now, Noah's mother says, how dare you insult me and insinuate that I was... He's like, look at this baby. This baby don't look like me. This looks like one of the guys. Look at it. There's a book, and I forget the name of that book, but it goes into detail about the description of Noah. And Noah's father was describing him. He's like, look at this baby. It don't look like me. It looks like one of the guys. Have you been sleeping with one of the guys? How dare you ask me and insinuate that I was sleeping around on you? All right. Noah's father, I'm going to go to my dad's house. Give me the baby. Give me the baby. I'm going to my dad's house. So he take the little child bag, baby bag, and give me the baby. And he goes to his father's house. And I think Noah's grandfather is Methuselah, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But he goes to see Noah's grandfather. And the father's like, Noah! No. He says to his Noah's grandfather, he's like, Dad, look at this baby. Look at this baby. Look at it. Don't it look like it's from one of the guys? And Noah's grandfather says, son, look, you know, sometimes things, that's your baby, okay? Don't pay that no attention. Things that just happen and DNA just get swapped around or whatever. Yeah, that's your baby. Take that baby home and love that baby and love your wife and enjoy your life. He's like, Dad, look at it though. Look at this baby. Son, take that child home and enjoy your life. So he goes back home. And he, asks his wife again. He's like, woman, listen, I just need you to tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Did you sleep with one of the guys? How dare you insult me by asking me if I slept with... Never mind. All right. So anyway, going on, as Noah grows up and gets older, the humans multiply, all right? They begin to multiply. And because they were having a lot of sex. And this really annoyed Enlil. Enlil hated the humans. He couldn't stand them. He was like, oh my God. Every time I turn around, these people sexing and moaning and sexing and moaning and moaning and moaning. And I can't get no sleep. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. You know what? I got a bomb, and I'm going to set it off. And this planet is getting ready to go through it anyway. So, all right, you know what? That's it. The humans got to die. They got to die. I'm calling the meeting. Everybody be in the boardroom at 12 noon on Thursday because I need everybody there. So he calls this meeting. And in the meeting, Enlil lets them know, hey, there's something coming. There's a big storm coming. There's a lot of water hitting here. Mars is getting it. Pluto is getting it. And so we need to pull all the Igigi off of Mars and all of them off the other planets. And everybody, you need to get in your spaceships, get your children. Because by then, the Anunnaki has started having children. Get your children, get your, get your babies, get your, get your things, get in your spaceships. And I need y'all. We're gonna float above the land until this thing hit, till it finish and dies out, and then we're gonna come back down and do what we need to do. All right, because everybody get yourself together, because we need to get up off this planet. Because everything's getting hit. The moon's getting hit. Pull all the igigi from up there on the moon. Pull everybody off Mars. Okay, everybody need to come back down and get in your spaceships. And then we're going to hover up until this thing die out. All right. Oh, wait. It's going to flood everything? This is through Enki talking. Enki talking to Enlil. Yeah, it's going to flood everything. So you need to get all your stuff and level up. Because we're going to get up out of here. Because we don't have that much time either. So you need to get your stuff, get together, need to get up, get your children, and make sure everybody in the boat. And then we're going to float up. Not the boat, but, you do ship. Because all of us got ships. We're going to float. So now, when they, what ended up happening is, Enki says to Enlil, all right, but then, we need to say the humans then. We need to let them know. Because they need to be able to, when we need to rebuild. Enlil said, no, you're going to keep your mouth shut. What you talking about? We got to say the humans. No, we're not going to say the humans. As a matter of fact, I'm going to set a bomb off. I got a nuclear bomb, and I'm going to set it off when that thing comes just to make sure they don't get out. All right? Oh, man, that ain't right. What you mean? All this work I put into these humans, and you mean to tell me you just going to kill them? That's right. Because you see what they doing? Look what they doing to the planet. They hell on this planet. They are minions. They gotta go. It's time. It's time now. Something big is coming, and then I'm gonna make sure they don't get out. I'm gonna make sure that I get them exterminated with everything else. All right, because that's it. I'm tired of them. And Enki was trying to plead his case. Okay, but what about Noah? Noah is good. All right, I know about some of these other ones. They ain't all that great, but Noah is good. I know Noah is good. Enki, what you're going to do is be quiet. You're going to make a pact. You're going to make an oath. As a matter of fact, I want you to swear right now. Swear. Raise your hand. Raise your hand and swear. Raise your hand and swear. You're going to keep your mouth shut. You're not going to say nothing to the humans. Nothing. This flood is going to come. It's going to flood it out. I'm going to set this bomb off, and that's it. That's it. I'm done. That's it. All right. Enki was upset. And he went home and he had his dream/nightmare. In his dream, someone from Nibiru came to him and gave him an idea about how to save the humans. All right. And what he did was he told him about an ark. And he drew up plans, this person from Nibiru, and left it with Enki so that he can give it to Noah. In this part of the story in the book of Enki, it talks about why Noah, not Noah, but why Enki was so in love with Noah. Why was he so in love with Noah? Because he slept with Noah's mother. See, you got to read the book of Enki and the book of whatever that other book is that describes Noah, and put those together. That's why it's so fun to read all of these different stories from these different perspectives. But yeah, Noah's mother slept with Enki. And this is why Enki was so in love with Noah, because it was his son. And he didn't want to see his son die. He wanted to do whatever he could, just like any other parent would, to save at least Noah. All of them were his children. All of the humans were of his creation. All of the humans have his DNA in them. And he wanted to save them. But at least Noah, because he is my direct son, as I slept with his mother. Let me rephrase that. Enki slept with his mother. All right. So now you've got this situation where Enki has been sworn to secrecy. And he can't go and say to the humans, hey, I want y'all to know that something is coming, and blah. He couldn't say that. So what he did in his oath that he had sworn, he went to Enki's house, Noah's house rather. Enki went to Noah's house, and he sat outside of Noah's house, and he started talking to Noah's house. He's like, oh, great walls of this house, I want you to know that a great flood is coming, and you need to prepare yourself. And Noah was in the house, and he was like, Enki, is that you? And Enki was like, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the walls of this house. See, Enki was under oath to not talk to the humans, but he wasn't under oath to not talk to the house. And if somebody happened to be standing near the house while he was talking to the house, well, then so be it. All right. Anyway, getting back to the house, there's a flood coming, and you, house, need to prepare yourself. I have brought plans for a boat that you need to build. Now, this wasn't a regular boat. It was a tumbler. All right. This was a tumbler, whereby, it is a ship that could flip. So now, there are plans, and you need to use those plans. And on that boat, it will be enough room for you and your family and any friends that help you build the boat. You don't have much time. Good luck. And then Enki left. Now, let's understand that, at this time, they knew, when I say they, all the Anunnaki knew that this great flood was coming. Now, you've got, because at this time, a lot of stuff was going on. Like, again, Mars was getting hit, the moon was getting hit, and on both of those planets, they supposedly had Igigi up there, and they had to pull them off those planets so that they could prepare themselves to levitate in whatever their ships were that they had. Now, when Enki gave the plans to Noah, Noah started building this ark so that he can prepare himself. And then the Anunnaki, when I say Anunnaki, Enki, Ninmah, and Ningirjita, they started scouring the planet for DNA of all of the beings on the planet, because they had created all these beings. They were splicing everything together. I told you, most of these beings on this planet, they are hybrid, meaning they splice. Cats and dogs. Cats, you got canine DNA, feline DNA, human DNA, and snake DNA. This is just the three that I know about for cats. Human DNA, feline DNA, and snake DNA. Look at their eyes. Look at how they act. Look at the things that they do. They mix with all kind of stuff. And dogs are mixed with canine and human and something else. So these beings, they like to splice all kind of stuff. And Enki was the main one that would do these kind of things. Chickens are hybrid. Chickens and bulls and cows, they all hybrid. So what they did was they scoured the planet for the DNA, because they knew that everything was getting ready to get destroyed. Everything was about to be destroyed. And so they got the DNA of all of these different beings on the planet, male and female. And as long as I got the DNA, I got the seed. I got the contract to create the entire being. All right, think about it. If you going to another, let's say I created a garden here in Georgia. I created a garden, and I'm going to move to California. Do I take all the trees? I'm gonna pick this tree up, and I'm gonna pick this. No, I'm just gonna take some seeds, and I'm gonna plant the tree, or the seeds rather, when I get to California, and then I can regrow whatever I had over here in Georgia because I got the seeds. Well, that was the same premise. So when you're hearing about the Noah's Ark and they're telling you, oh, he took a female chicken and a male chicken and a female cow and a bull and a female lion and that's not what the Book of Enki talks about. The Book of Enki states that once the Anunnaki gathered all of the DNA, which is what Enki and Ninmah and his son were involved in, they put it in a box. They put all the DNA in a box. Of course, it's labeled. And then they gave it to Noah to take on the boat, along with his family and some of the people who helped him build the boat. And you know who else was on that boat? Ningujita. Was it Ningujita? Because Enki had a couple of different sons. He had a couple of sons. And one of his sons was on that boat. And he helped to navigate the boat through the flood. And the Book of Enki talks about how scared they all were. It talks about how they were screaming and crying and didn't think they were going to survive. Go and read the Book of Enki. It gives you more detail on what happened as opposed to what you get in the Bible. But it tells you about what they were in fear. They were crying. They were scared. And they were tumbling. And they had a box of DNA of every being that had been on the planet. That's all they needed in order to create other beings. And so once the flood died down and they were able to, the Anunnaki came back down to the planet. And what they saw, it talks about how Ninmah and Enki they were sad. Ninmah was crying, and they were really hurt. And then suddenly Ningujita, or whoever that was on the boat, that was one of Enki's sons that was on the boat, they pulled up, after the flood, and all the Anunnaki had come back down, and they pulled up. Wow, because, okay, here's what happened. I'm just setting this picture, because after the flood died down, and everybody came down on their respective ships, and they got out, and they were really sad to see what had happened. They were like, oh my God, this is terrible. Wow, you got to remember, they had been there for years by that time. And the Anunnaki used to live for a long time. But their lifespan was shortened on this planet. They couldn't take all this heat and all that other stuff. But the fact that they had built a lot while they were on the planet, and so to see it destroyed, that's all they were. When they got back down, they were hugging. They were happy to see each other, because this one got off his ship, they got off their ship, and Enki and Enlil, they hugging, and hey, brother, I love you. Oh, my God, it was so terrible. This is so sad. How are we going to rebuild? And then Enki's other son pulls up. And out jumps the humans. And Enlil went crazy. He was trying to fight Enki. He was he was physically trying to hit Enki, because he was like, I know we said, I told you no more humans. I told you, Enki, I said, where they come from? And your son was, and so he was upset. But Enki was like, look, bro, look around you. Who gonna do all this work? You better be glad we got them. You better be glad we got them. Who is gonna do all this work? Now we got some people help us get the work done, all right? So chill out, because we got a lot of work to do. And you know the Iggy ain't gonna do it. So here you go. Here you go. Got some humans here. And plus I got some DNA. Give me that box. Hey, give me that box, nigga Ginger. Alright, thank you. Look, we can create more humans. I can create a human that look like you and your wife. You want a human? I can create you a whole set of humans that look like you and your wife. And then that's when they start dividing the planet up. And who got which queen had this one and which queen had, that's when the division of the territories came up. And that's why you got people that look like, like the Japanese look like these people over here. And all these people have this kind of DNA because they started fashioning humans after these particular gods. Fashioning them meaning creating them with the DNA and the characteristics of the gods that ruled that particular territory. All right, so I gotta get out of here. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I enjoyed telling it to you. The average 400,000 years is that we're talking about how long they used to live. They used to live for a long time. They had been there for 100,000 years. They made man about 200 years into it. Okay, thank you, average. Thank you, Joe. Joe Hall says you know your stuff. I appreciate that. I enjoy the stories. I enjoyed reading them, and I hope you all take some time to read them for yourself. The stories are very fascinating, and then it helps to give you insight into what went on in the Bible. Listen, I respect the Bible. There's still some things in there that I still grapple with, but I have learned to respect what's in it. However, remember that those stories or those scriptures have been translated. They have been redacted, and people have changed things. This is why it's good to go and read the left out books. Read the scriptures coming from the Sumerian, which is the oldest known civilization. Go and read the Book of Jasher. That's one of my personal favorites. So I just encourage you to read them, so then when you see things in the Bible, you can know what to look for, what kind of research to do, and understand that, okay, let me keep in my mind, that all of this is not on point because this is somebody else's story who's copyrighted, and if they copyrighted it, they had to change it. All right, I hope you got some insight from this. I hope it was at least entertaining. Darkside says thank you, Darkside. Thank you all for joining. Jamie says, when are they coming back? I don't think they left. So you bring me to another point, Jamie, when you ask that question. Remember how Enlil said, if you create slaves, then it's against the law. Why? Because when you create a slave, you enslave yourself. I'm going to say this again. This is a universal law. When you create a slave, you enslave yourself. And so when they created the humans, and then Enlil comes and he tries to destroy them, when you try to destroy something, you destroy yourself. You can't just create something and then try to take it out. That's not how it works. These are beings now, and they are a part of you. So the Anunnaki have to come back through us. You have to come back through your own creation. So I'm saying, this is assuming that we are part of Anunnaki, because there's some things that have been told. I talked to you about yesterday that story, that movie, Avatar, is a documentary. It's a documentary of what actually took place here. And when you read the Anunnaki, or the Book of Enki, and then you start seeing some of these stories, you see a parallel between the Book of Enki and some of these movies. But I'm telling you, I don't think they left, because there are signs that they're still here. There are things that went on in the Book of Enki that are going on today. Part of that deals with, I told you they came here to get the gold. They would spray the gold in the sky. They would create what's known as a mufkuts, or a white fine powder. It's called monoatomic gold. It's a powdery white, very fine powdery white substance. It's once you remove all of the metallic properties from this gold, it becomes a very powerful substance that can repair your DNA. Monoatomic gold. But they would take this monoatomic gold on their planet and they would spray it in the sky to get rid of or to keep from the sun, to shelter from the sun. Well, when you see what's going on now, y'all see those planes flying over? And they're constantly streaking the sky. They're, first of all, modifying the weather. And they're trying to create clouds. They're constantly creating clouds. Why? Because they need they're trying to shelter from the sun. They're doing the same stuff today, where they're spraying this mess in the sky to create clouds, and the clouds then shelter from the sun. They're doing the same thing today that the book says they did on their planet in Nubaru. All right. So I say to you, there are other things that are going on. When we look at this fighting, and then I got to get out of here because I could talk all day about this thing with, these books. But remember I said, when they came back down after the flood, then they started dividing up the different territories. So what you might see as like Asia now, or quote unquote Middle East, or and remember, Noah had 3 sons: Ham, Shem, Japheth. This is where you talk about Hamitic. You're talking about your African, you're real dark, because Ham means burnt face. You're talking about Shemitic, and you're talking about anti-Semitic. That's where that comes from, Shem. All right, because those were the people of the lineage of Shem, which was Noah's middle son. And then Japheth, like you're talking about your Japanese people and your Asians and all that. That was a different territories. But anyway, just getting back to this. When you start looking at these different territories, they divided the different territories up. And the people who were ruling in those different territories were known as lords. And each lord would go to Enki so that Enki could create them their own set of humans that looked like them and had their characteristics. All right? So this is how all of that came about. And so what happened is, as everybody started getting their own people, then the gods started fighting with each other. And the gods wouldn't come and get in the ring and be boxing each other like this, you know what I'm saying? No, they wouldn't do that. They send their people over to fight their people. And so the humans are fighting each other, not realizing it's the gods that really have the fight. Why are we fighting? Why are we fighting with these people over here in Russia? Why we got issues with China? When it's really the gods in these different territories that are fighting, and then they send their people in to do the dirty work. That's the game. And I'm saying to you, it's still going on to this day. I don't think they left. They are just in the background. Because if they come out, you need to understand they have lost a lot of power because of the energy that they've put out. They've lost a lot of power. Same thing with women, have lost a lot of power. See, I'm trying to tell you, it's a cycle. It's a cycle. Women used to be in control. They lost their power because of the energy they put out on the male. Melanated people used to be in control. They lost their power because of the energy they put out on the melanated people and the Albions. Albions are going to lose their power. And really, right now, it's not even Albions. I say that. It's Jews. Because really, the Albion doesn't have power. They just, they're the Jews. Y'all like, well, they both white. They ain't the same being. Just because they both got light skin, I mean, the same people. Just like all dark people are not the same people. Y'all need to recognize that. Well, we got to stick as one. Well, it's funny because some of these people you trying to stick as one with, they trying to stick you in your back. Just because they look like you doesn't mean that they are you. You need to recognize that. Just because you got dark skin don't mean that all dark skinned people are the same. It's just not like that. It's just not. On a spiritual level. It's the spirit. Some of y'all are more spiritually inclined or connected with Albion than you are a Hamitic African. Because the Albion come from you. The Albion comes from the melanated people. Namely, your Hamitic or Shemitic people. So don't just think just because somebody is dark skinned that they are for you, and just because they're light skinned that they are against you. That is not the case. All right? I'm telling you, we got to start dealing with the spiritual makeup of people, the content of their character, not just their skin color. All right. So again, I say to you, there's so many things that I see. That's why I really love, I cherish that I took time to read these books, these left out books, the Book of Enki, especially the Book of Jasher, especially because it gives so much insight on what's going on today. Read the Bible. That's a good book too. Again, it's been changed, it's been redacted, it's been tampered with, yes. But it's still a good book to read because there is a lot of lessons in it, all right? I want y'all to know I love you. Thank you. Jason says, I agree with you, sister. Thank you, brother. I love you, brother. I love y'all, sisters. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me and allowing me to tell my stories. I love those books. Y'all go take some time to read them. Let's have a conversation together about them. We're going to see you all. I'm going to try to get with you tomorrow. I'm going to be rocking and rolling tomorrow, but I'm going to try to get in here and do a session. And again, I hope you all have really appreciated this because I have truly appreciated giving it to you. All right. So we're going to see y'all tomorrow. Don't forget, ebook. Get this ebook. Powerful, 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 powerful. All right. You can get this $29.99 for now. This is the physical copy. You're going to have a laminated hierarchy of law, a laminated universal law, and a laminated vibratory frequency. All of these are in the book, but we want you to have them out. Also, I want you all to enroll, all right? If you want to enroll in the UNA University starting on the 16th, you got to be able to go to UNAuniversity.com. We're going to see you there. I love you. I'm out. Peace. Bye-bye.